joining me right now here on Zoom on the Rich Eisen Show is a longtime friend of mine. Love this man, love working with him. And I'm not just saying that because he's another handsome bald man with a mustache and a beard. He is a Super Bowl champion quarterback and a longtime friend, as I mentioned, Trent Dilfer. How are you, Trent?
I'm doing good. I'm doing as well as I can be doing, Rich.
Okay, I know.
Hurt for the people struggling right now.
I know. Me too. Me too. Did you see Breeze gave $5 million in food relief, and he and Brittany gave $5 million in the state of Louisiana? I mean,
sounds like something he would do.
Right? Don't you think? I mean, so obviously, again, knock on wood, hopefully everybody in your world is happy and healthy. All that said, did I hear your voice on a workout video with Tua?
Yeah.
This week? Was that your voice?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So, Tua asked me after he had declared for the draft if I'd handle his pre-draft preparation.
Okay.
Unique circumstance, obviously, with him coming off the multiple ankle injuries and the hip injury. So we knew it was going to be kind of a slow grind. As much of it's been mentoring as it has been coaching, but now that he's fully cleared medically, we're getting after it in terms of his preparation for OTAs. And we go all the way back to Elite 11, so I think there's a trust there. And I've never really been in this space. I purposely stayed out of this space, this pre-draft training space, because so many of the guys that I've mentored, the coaches around the country, this is their business. I didn't want to ever steal business from them, but I have a unique relationship with Tua, and because of that, I think he trusted me to guide him through this process.
Okay. Before we just dive in a little bit further into that unique relationship, I know you've mentioned it to me on my show before and how you feel about him and how long you've known him. How does he look to you right now? He looked pretty damn good to me in that video.
Fantastic. And we've taken other videos since. We have a live throwing session day with receivers when I get off this call. What his agent said is not far from the truth. If you just woke up from a coma for a year and didn't know anything that happened, you wouldn't think anything has changed. He looks as good, if not better, than he did pre-injuries. Now, to his credit, he has worked. I don't even have the words to explain the lonely work he's done to come back from this. I saw Matt Hasselbeck did something the other day on NFL Live where he talked about one of the keys to being a great quarterback is how you attack rehab and how you track the training room, because you're always beat up to a certain degree, and then many times you're coming off of a catastrophic injury.
Right.
Drew Brees attacking the labrum tear, greatest example. Drew Brees able to become a Hall of Famer after a catastrophic shoulder surgery because he attacked his rehab as a total pro, and Tua's done the same thing with his injuries. There were 6 weeks where it was 2.5 hours a day, twice a day, lonely, boring rehab type stuff. He couldn't throw for a long time. Soft toss was all he could do. You can imagine being a kid that loves throwing a football, and all you can do is sit on a chair and throw. Countless hours with me and Ken Wisenhunt in my office going over football stuff, completely changing how he ate, using nutrition as a way of healing his body. And now, just this week, being able to come out and say, okay, what am I? And what he is pretty phenomenal.
Well, I mean, and again, I don't know if you chose that specific snippet to make a point about his lower body movement and his foot movement. Did you? Because it sure looked like that was a specific snippet that you chose to prove.
Yeah, he chose it. First of all, this is a weird space, Rich, and this has nothing to do with me. That's why I didn't release the video. Tua released the video. He asked me to retweet it, asked me to share it. Obviously, I knew being in the media for 10 years that it was going to get picked up by you all, which it should have been. There's other stuff that we'll release here in the next few days that will show that he's fully back. And if he's not just fully, but he's even better than he was before, because he's got different foundational. He's built on his foundation different. He's stronger. His core is much stronger. He's more functional with his movements. The biggest thing we've tried to do is make him more rotary based instead of spread out. Some of the injuries came because he got spread out. He got long. He got off balance is an easy way to say it. Keeping him tighter, more compact, more rotary driven. Luke Richardson, who led his rehab/training, was with the Houston Texans forever, won a Super Bowl with the Broncos. He's my strength coach here at Lipscomb. He guided him through those first 6 weeks, and I really made some major changes with him. So I say all that because now when I ask him to do a footwork drill, and I try to do drills that are that translate into a real football situation, not just jumping over stuff and brooms and all that. You can see the twitch and the power. You can see him having control of his whole body. You can see him moving his center mass and not just reaching for things. You can see him maintaining his balance through different platforms. All this stuff is very applicable to keeping him healthy as he plays. Everything I've tried to do and all the things I've tried to communicate with him is we're not trying to build you for a fancy pro day or where you go in the draft. I'm trying to build you for a 15-year Hall of Fame career. I think this kid is that special. So everything we're doing is I'm learning from the great players I've studied. Obviously, I was not one of them, but I'm studying from the greatest of all time, their habits, what they do, their movement strategies, and trying to incorporate those into his training.
So it sure looks like the draft's going to go off as scheduled, Trent. It looks like it's going to be the 23rd through the 25th. I know that there is some competition committee conversations about whether that's right or wrong, because some teams are in their facilities using the big board and being able to gather. Other teams are in cities and sheltered in place, and they're not allowed in their facilities. So what does the next 3 weeks look like for Tua in terms of getting on the horn with people, or what he needs to do to potentially make sure he's drafted as high as possible? Best that you can share.
You know, what I'm trying to, my advice to him, I can only share what my advice to him has been, is to be yourself. Tua is a unique kid in a good way. He's got that really super cool Polynesian vibe, but he's got that fierceness, competitive, like assassin quality to him too. Right. And to overcoach him in this process would be a massive mistake. To give him talking points, to try to make him somebody he's not, as he engages with these teams. From day one, I told him and his family, I only want them to see the Tua that I know. Maybe a more refined version, maybe one that obviously is now moving into the professional realm and not the collegiate realm. So there's refinement to your personality, your thought process, but be Tua. Because when Tua walks into a room, the room's better. If he's on a Zoom call, I'm pretty sure all the teams that have talked to him, they're going to say the same thing. It jumps through the screen. We did a little quarterback Olympics yesterday, just me and him, because it was kind of his day off. And we just did like throwing drills from our knees and targets and, you know, set up things around the indoor. And I had him beat twice, and he came back in the last seconds and beat me. And, you know, he suddenly talks a little smack. He's really good at talking a little smack. I'm devastated. I'm laying on the floor, you know, whining and screaming because I thought I had Tua beat. And he's needling me a little bit. My point being is that I just told him, you be you. And then let the agent, Chris Cabot, who's fantastic at what he does, he can guide you through the processes of how this works in a new world. But I think the more people get to know Tua, I know the media is going to love him.
I mean, Trent, I already do, man. And trust me, Georgia knows the feeling about thinking that Tua has been beat, and then he comes out at the last second and makes the throw. So the question I have, though, is the physical part of it. Like, are you sending videos to teams, or have teams asked for your particular insight too?
Yeah, we're compiling a bunch of video. The agent's handling that. But I'm purposely building the drill sets, building the workouts to show what I know that the real evaluators want to know. I'm not building it for the media. You know, if I was building it for the media, I would know how to do that. Right. I'm building it to see, what do the Dolphins want to see? What do the Raiders want to see? What do the Colts want to see? What do the Bengals want to see? They want to see dynamic movement. They want to see the combination of twitch and power. They want to see sustainability within a workout, because fatigue and recovery is a big part of this. Today we're going to do about a 70 throw script. So he's going to drop and throw 70 times today to live receivers. I'm going to know a lot tomorrow morning when I'm with him. You know, where are you sore? How's your arm feel? How your ribs feel? How's your back feel? How's your hip feel? How's your ankles feel? To this point, he's been 100% after every workout. But increasing that workload on him will now, here's my ultimate goal. We want to hand him to a team ready to dominate an OTA. ready to go be an NFL dominant football player. So everything I'm doing isn't for a performance standpoint. I don't care if he goes 70 of 72 today. I care that he builds up a work capacity. He starts to better understand some refined mechanics. Again, we're talking 1-2%. We're not talking 10-15% mechanical change. So that when he goes to an OTA and they ask him to learn this big playbook, execute a 7-on-7 script, that as he is making adjustments, he can self-evaluate and he can self-correct. Because that's the biggest thing I've seen in this space. If you can't teach a player to self-correct in the midst of a practice, the NFL doesn't have a quarterback coach that's sitting there filming every rep going, oh, look, your front foot was too far. You didn't stay closed long enough. Your head's in the wrong position, yada, yada, yada. It is XO, 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 XO. So teaching him so he can self-correct if anything starts going haywire, or if things start getting a little sore here or there, he knows what's causing that. The best thing we can do is hand him over to whatever NFL team drafts him, and that team go, thank you. Thanks for letting us do the rest. Thanks for letting us build what we want to build. But you gave us a product that was healthy, that was fresh, that mind was clear, was excited about learning, excited about working, excited about meeting a whole new tribe, meaning your organization, excited about going into the community and reaching out. Not one that's broken down through the pre-draft process and weighed down and burdened and tired and exhausted and starved to death. We want one that's fired up and ready to go kick the NFL's butt.
All right. Well, one last question on him before I do want to pick your brain about all the free agent movement in the quarterback world in the NFL. Is the floor is yours? And when you met Tua and when you realized that he was a unicorn, as a phrase that he used.
Well, my favorite story about him is it was one of those, Nike opening regionals in May in Oakland, California. And I had heard a lot about him. I'd watched all his tape, and you could see the talent, but he was a very undisciplined player at the time. And these regionals are not just like underwear Olympics throwing cats. We put them through some pretty strenuous stuff to kind of see what their capacity is, see what their work ethic's like, and see if they're coachable. And at the end of the camp, and this made the documentary, I actually called him out and I said, Tua, you're really talented, but everybody's enamored with your talent. All I see is the lack of discipline. And I said, in a month from now, when you come back to the finals, because he got an invite to the finals based on his talent, really. I mean, he's incredibly talented. I said, you will not thrive unless you fix this stuff. Well, at the time, him and his family was pretty offended, right? You can imagine being a 17-year-old kid being told you're not as great as everybody's saying that you are. Mm-hmm. But instead of complaining about it, they did something about it. And there's video, and this video lives somewhere, of him in a park in Hawaii with his dad every afternoon going over like these 5 to 7 base, old school Bill Walsh, Mike Holmgren, Mike McCarthy quarterback school drills that I had adopted over time because I had been in the West Coast. And I just think they're really good fundamental training drills. He's in this park in Hawaii with orange cones set out with his dad doing these for a month straight. So he comes to us in LA for the finals, where Redondo Union, and the first drill he does better than I've ever seen anybody do. And then as the day goes on, I'm talking to some of my coaches, Jordan Palmer, Quincy Avery, and these guys, and I'm like, that's a totally different kid. And everybody was like, yeah, he's totally different. I mean, he went from being undisciplined to perfectly disciplined. And he knew more than anybody else in the whole camp. There was no doubt day one he was the best player there, and he proved it as we went on the rest of the summer and the finals, the opening finals and everything. But the point of the story is that when Tua sees something that he's not doing best, he attacks it so he can go do it best. And yeah, he may have this great smile, and yeah, he may be friends to everybody, but deep down, he's an assassin. And he wakes up every morning and he says, how do I become the best at the next thing? And this was at 17, and you saw him do it his whole time at Alabama, and now you're seeing him do it here getting ready for the NFL.
It's amazing. All right, let's get into some here and now. What do you think, Trent Dilfer, of Brady and Arians hooking up? How's that going to work? How successful do you think that's going to be, Tom Brady in Tampa?
I'm a buyer. I'm still devastated. I'm like one of those Patriots fans. It's like, I don't know what the NFL is going to look like with Tom not playing for the Patriots. So I still haven't fully gotten over that. But to forecast it there in Tampa, finally somebody's going to wear number 12 the right way in Tampa. That's a joke, Rich. You can laugh. I wear number 12.
I have not actually put 2 and 2 together on that.
I actually texted him the night he signed, and I was like, now about time 12 gets worn properly. Don't embarrass the number, Tommy.
What did he say?
He just laughed. This conversation about the system and him not fitting, okay? Is that what you're getting at? Because there's been a lot of narrative around that, right? Bruce Arians' system is very diverse. Now, he's a hyper-aggressive play caller. There's a difference between system and play caller, right? And I'm sure Kurt's probably told the NFL Network audience about this, but the system, Tom won't learn any new plays. There's no play Tom doesn't know. It's going to be the progression behind the teaching. So the simplest way to look at it is a lot of what the Patriots did for a long time was low to high. So they read a lot of their stuff low to high. Bruce is a big high to low guy. Every time he calls a play, he's trying to, knife the defense. So I think Tom's going to like that. That's going to be refreshing. It's not like his arm can't do it. Tom's arm is still super light. I think you're going to see more chunk plays out of Tom Brady, more of a vertical aspect to his passing game. I think his skill set, because his downfield accuracy is elite, obviously, I think that's going to be showcased a little bit more. My only concern, and I think a great guy to call on this would be Carson Palmer. I think he can speak into this far better than I could, is a lot of these concepts are extended drops. They're going to take a little bit longer. Instead of getting the ball in 2.17 seconds, which I think is what Tom's average is, I'd have to check PFF, he's going to be more like 2.75. And that doesn't sound like a massive difference, but those big old bodies that are moving really fast with a lot of force, that just gives them a couple ticks longer to get closer to him. I also would like to see by week 12, how many times has he been hit in this offense relative to how many times he was hit in the Patriots offense. Those are just little things I'm going to look at, but I think they'll be wildly successful because the skill set players they have there. Bruce is a genius calling plays. So I overall, along with Dilfer-winded answer, saying I like the fit.
Well, it's a great answer. So Brady in Tampa, Phillip in Indy, Bridgewater in Carolina. Those are, I guess, the big moves quarterbacks wise. Breeze is obviously staying put. Which new quarterback in a new spot do you think is the best fit that has the most upside for success that I've just mentioned right there?
I'm really, I don't know if it's best. I'm most curious outside the Brady. Obviously, everybody in the world's been watching the Brady-Tampa dynamic in the same division, the Carolina Bridgewater, Joe Brady, that this whole new mix, what they're doing offensively there. I think that's going to be fascinating to watch. I was very impressed with Teddy when he played last year. I think he's a guy that if you watch Joe Burrow play at LSU and how he played for the most part on rhythm, and then when he had to create extra time and space, he did a good job at that. I think that's who Teddy Bridgewater is. He's a guy that's going to play on schedule, on time most of the time. He's going to dissect the defense pre-snap. He's going to make very decisive reads post-snap. And then when he needs to extend the play a little bit, when he needs to create some time and space, he's a guy that can do it. I've always been bullish on Teddy. So I think it's a good fit. I'm excited to see him get a chance to run the show and be the dude. So that's probably the one I'm most excited to watch outside the Brady-Tampa dynamic.
And what do you think Cam's best fit is? It's just remarkable that he may have to get a backup role and prove it, or would Jacksonville be a spot? And the Chargers are probably knocking on the door for your mentoree that you'll be working out later on today. I mean, what do you think about Cam's situation? Which teams are making a move for him potentially? And then New England obviously might need one. I give you.
I would. Well, on the New England thing, I really am a Jarrett Stidham fan too. So I think they've made up their mind. I think they're going to go with Stidham.
You think Stidham would be a suitable?
I think Stidham's their guy. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if there's one more they bring in because Bill loves competition. He's not just going to hand the keys to the car to a young guy, but I think they really liked Stidham, and he did the little that he played. And then you hear from what's going on at practice, they treat practice so seriously.
Right.
Most of what I heard from New England was that he was really impressing everybody, not just coaches, but players, with his leadership, with his juice, with his learning capacity, with his preparation. I saw him a month or so ago, and I said, you know, if you look back and look at the year, how lucky we're to be at Tom, because I can just watch Tom and learn more than anybody can ever teach me. So a year of watching that and really soaking in, I think he understands the urgency every day of the position. But anyways, that's the New England note. I think if I'm Cam, I'm waiting to see how this draft unfolds, because I don't want to be a placeholder for Tua or Herbert, right? Or maybe Love, right? Maybe Love starts, everybody falls in love with Love. And you end up going and you think you're the guy and you think this is your chance. And then all of a sudden you see that, oh no, they just drafted the guy. And I'm the sacrificial lamb to get to that guy. I know that sounds crazy talking about a Cam Newton being a sacrificial lamb, but if you're a GM and you're looking to draft one of those guys, man, I'd love to get Cam at a discount price and hedge my bet. But let's make no mistake about it. 18 months, it doesn't matter how good Cam plays. The guy drafted is going to be playing.
All right, last one for you, Trent. When Nick Foles was acquired by the Bears and put in the same quarterback room as Mitchell Trubisky, I wonder what you think, what this means to – all we're hearing is the phrase is going to push Mitch. Doesn't this basically lift the kimono up about how Trubisky isn't the number 2 overall quarterback savior that the Bears hoped? I give you the floor on what you thought when you heard about the Foles to Bears trade.
Well, one, I like the trade. I think the Bears had to do something. You can say we love Mitch Trubisky, and in the same breath say, but he needs to be pushed more. He needs competition. He needs there needs to be an edgier room. You know what I mean? Every day needs to matter more, so to speak. And you have a backup plan in Nick Foles, who's proven to be kind of that perfect guy, right? The perfect guy that can come in a backup situation and help you win football games, especially if you're as good as the Bears, I think should be. Kind of like his Eagles experience. Really good team. You don't have to do a ton. The term manage the game obviously comes back to me, which I don't take as a knock. You are managing situations. You're not the reason the team's going to win, but you're never going to be the reason the team loses. I think Nick Foles is the perfect guy for that, and he's a great guy. You know, I think that's the other thing that people miss in this quarterback room dynamic is, and I always go back to my relationship with Matthew Hasselbeck, is he's a great human being, right? He is as good a human being as you're ever going to meet. So when you're going through hard times in a room, at least you're going through it with somebody that is a lifelong friend. And I think Matthew and I had that relationship that brought the best out of both of us. I think you have the same dynamic that can happen in Chicago is just Nick Foles' presence in that quarterback room is going to help Mitch as he goes through rocky times, even if that means Nick is the one playing at the time. And I know people can't wrap their brain around that, right? Oh, no, it's life or death. No, it's really making sure that room is as strong as it can be. The stronger that room is, the better product on Sunday the quarterback playing will be.
Trent, you're the man. I've been asking all my guests calling in for an office, or I don't know if that's some sort of coach's room or whatever you're in right now. But
yeah, this is my coach's office. I'm the only human being on the institution's grounds.
Okay, that's what I figured. So I've been asking what's behind. What's behind? Is there a trophy? What is that photograph of?
You got, this is all of our Lipscomb Academy stuff, and then the Super Bowl trophy is back there that Ray Lewis got for me. I still appreciate him getting it for me. Our helmet, some other stuff. The Steve Largent Award, which is something I'm really proud of, the Man of the Year for the Seattle Seahawks. I only have a few things up in my office here at Lipscomb Academy, and those are them.
So that's the trophy Ray got for you, huh?
Ray got me. Yeah,
like that throw you made to start things off in Tampa, by the way, that had to feel so damn good too.
I simply got out of the way.
I don't know if you saw that Jameis tweeting out a farewell to Tampa, said he'll see him in February. Did you see that?
I saw that. I thought that was pretty interesting. That's one guy we didn't talk about. I personally would take a chance on Jameis. Okay. Yes, he's dangerous with the football, and I think that does get you beat. And that had, but Vinny Testaverde was too, and then Bill Parcells was able to get that out of him when he went to the Jets. I do think Jameis Winston with the right coach could be that's a steal right there. If you get Jameis, go get Jameis.
Didn't we say that about when Arians joined, right? Like, I mean, didn't you think that the no risk it, no biscuit? I mean, he might have taken a little bit too much of the risk it, but he still threw 5,000 yards worth of biscuits, right? I mean, so who's the right coach in the right situation is the question, right?
If Mike Holmgren was still coaching, I'd say Mike Holmgren. Like, he's the perfect person to take at Jameis, because there's freedom in how Mike lets you play, but there's also, you better do it, Mike. I mean, you better learn it Mike's way. And the discipline of what I gained and what Matthew gained, at least, from where we came from to going, you know, Matthew for obviously longer, but my 4 years with Mike was really learning the risk reward of the position. And then being able to hear stories how Steve Young, Brett Favre, Joe Montana did it. I mean, 3 of the best ever played the position. And then he can kind of create these parallels to where you're at in your career. I could see Mike being a great influence. I could see Sean Payton being a great influence on Jameis Winston, especially with Drew being at the end. I get the Taysom Hill thing. I don't know where that stands. But there's just certain guys that get quarterbacks, and they get their DNA, and they get how to kind of tweak it here or there and get so the ceiling comes out and the floor doesn't as often.
Trent, you're the man. Thanks for sharing. Tell Tua we send our best. I got to meet him for the first time at the Super Bowl. It's exactly as you said. The place, like the wattage on our Super Bowl set went up when he walked on it. There's no question about it. Told a great story about how, you know, he ribbed Saban a little bit after he threw that touchdown pass against Georgia, because Saban was still pissed about the sack that he took. So I saw a little bit of that red ass too that you're talking about.
He's going to have a little more today after I beat him in Quarterback Olympics 2.0. There will be. If I ever beat him in anything, that's what I will tweet out or put on Instagram, is me beating Tua in something. I'm 103 years old. If I can beat him, it's on.
I love it. I can't wait to see it. So how can people follow you at Dilfer's Dimes, right, on Twitter?
And then, I just went public on Insta, Trent.Dilfer.
Okay, very good. We'll be following you. Thanks for the call, Trent. You're the man.
All right.
Best to your family.
Bye-bye.
You bet.